Srimad-bhagavatam. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Yashoda Nandana Prasha Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Prasha Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 7. Text several verses, because most don't have purports, and actually we're going to finish the chapter today. So verses 40 to 46. And the chapter is called or Shiva saves the universe by drinking poison. Yes. Okay, so this is verse 40 here. Pumsa kripayato badre sarvatma priyate hari prite haro bhagavati priye hum Sacharacharaha Tasmadidam Garang Bunje Prajanam Swastir Astume Pumsa kripayato badre sarvatma priyate hari prite haro bhagavati priye hum sacharacharaha Tasmad idam garang bunje Prajanam swastir astume Pumsa kripayato badre Sarvatma priyate hari Prite haro bhagavati Priye ham sacharacharaha Tasmadidam garang bunje Prajanam swastir astume Pumsa kripayato badre Sarvatma priyate hari Prite haro bhagavati Priye ham sacharacharaha Tasmadidam garang bunje Prajanam swastir astume Pumsa kripayato badre Sarvatma priyate hari Prite haro bhagavati Priye ham sacharacharaha Tasmadidam garang bunje Prajanam swastir astume Pumsa kripayato badre Sarvatma Priyate Hari Priyate Haro Bhagavati Priyahang Sacharacharaha Tasmani Dangaran Bunje Prajanang Swashti Astu Me. Pumsaha, with a person. Kripayataha, engaged in benevolent activities. Bhadre, O most gentle Bhavani. Sarga Atma, the super soul. Priyate, becomes pleased. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prite, because of his pleasure. Haro, the Supreme Lord. Hari. Bhagavati, the personality of Godhead. Priye, all become pleased. Aham, I. Sachara acharaha, with all others, moving and non-moving. Tasmat, therefore, idam, this, garam, poison, punje, let me drink, prajanam, of the living entities, swashti, welfare, astu, let there be, may, by me. This is Lord Shiva speaking. My dear gentle wife Bhavani, when one performs benevolent activities for others, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is very pleased. And when the Lord is pleased, I am also pleased, along with all other living creatures. Therefore, let me drink this poison, for all the living entities may thus become happy because of me. Repeat after me. My dear gentle Bhavani, my dear gentle wife Bhavani, when one performs benevolent activities for others, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is very pleased. And when the Lord is pleased, I am also pleased, along with all other living creatures. Therefore, let me drink this poison, for all the living entities may thus become happy because of me. Imagine Lord Shiva's position. The whole universe is about to be destroyed by some poison that came out of the churning of the milk ocean, and now he's, at the request of the demigods, he's ready to drink all that poison. It won't hurt him, and it's just to save the whole universe. So I'll read the Sanskrit and the translation for a couple of verses, or actually the next. Let's see. Let's see. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Amantra Bhagavan Bhavanim Vishva Bhavanaha Tadvishang Jagrum Arebi Prabhava Gyan Pramodata. Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued, after informing Bhavani in this way, Lord Shiva began to drink the poison, and Bhavani, who knew perfectly well the capabilities of Lord Shiva, gave him her permission to do so. Huh? The translation. Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued, after informing Bhavani in this way, that he's going to drink the poison, Lord Shiva began to drink the poison, and Bhavani, who knew perfectly well the capabilities of Lord Shiva, gave him her permission to do so. Okay. My dear husband, you have permission to drink poison. But Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity. Tata karmatali kritya japi hala halam vishwan abakshayan mahadeva kripaya bhuta bhavanaha. Translation. Thereafter, Lord Shiva, who is dedicated to auspicious benevolent work for humanity, compassionately took the whole quantity of poison in his palm and drank it. So there's a short purport here, and then so read that, and then we'll just finish the chapter, and then we'll speak a little. Although there was such a great quantity of poison that it spread all over the universe, Lord Shiva had such great power that he reduced the poison to a small quantity so that he could hold it in his palm. And one should not try to imitate Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva can do whatever he likes, but those who try to imitate Lord Shiva by smoking ganja and other poisonous things will certainly be killed because of such activities. They say, sometimes people will say, "Oh, I love Lord Shiva. He smokes marijuana, and therefore I'm going to follow his example. If he's doing it, it must be good." But the answer to that is, okay, you can do what he does, but can you actually do what he does? You smoke, you want to follow that activity of his, but can you also do everything else he does, like drinking an ocean of poison? No. So therefore, don't think that you can take this particular trait and it's going to be okay. No, Lord Shiva is a special personality. So let's just read a couple more verses here, and there's a longer purport. Tasyapi darshanang asha swagvirang jalak kamashaha yach chakara gale nilang touch cha savor vibhushanam. As if in defamation, the poison born from the ocean of milk manifested its potency by marking Lord Shiva's neck with a bluish line. That line, however, is now accepted as an ornament of the Lord. Yeah. It's not like a birthmark or an inauspicious mark. It's actually a sign of this great deed that he's doing, drinking the poisons to save all the living entities in the universe. Tapyante lokatapena sadava prayasho janaha paramar ardanam tadi purushadi atmanaha. It is said that great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. Purport. Here is an explanation of how those engaged in activities for the welfare of others are very quickly recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 68 and 69, Ya idang paramanguya mad bhaktyeshu abhijashyati na cha tasmin manusheshu kaschin me priya kritamaha. Quote, one who preaches the message of Bhagavad Gita to my devotees is most dear to me. No one can excel him in satisfying me by worship. End quote. There are different kinds of welfare activities in the material world, but the supreme welfare activity is the spreading of Krishna consciousness. Other welfare activities cannot be effective, for the laws of nature and the results of karma cannot be checked. It is by destiny or the law of karma that one must suffer or enjoy. For instance, if one is given a court order, he must accept it, whether it brings suffering or profit. Similarly, everyone is under obligation of karma and its reactions. No one can change this. Therefore, the Shastra says, Tashaiva hetu prayateta kovido labhyate yad ramatang uyar adaha. One should endeavor for that which is never obtained by wandering up and down the universe as a result of the reactions of karma. What is that? One should endeavor to become Krishna conscious. If one tries to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, he should be understood to be performing the best welfare activity. The Lord is automatically very pleased with him. If the Lord is pleased with him, what is left for him to achieve? If one has become recognized by the Lord, even if he does not ask the Lord for anything, the Lord who is within everyone supplies him whatever he wants. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Teshang Nitya Viyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Bhajamyaham. Again, as stated here, Tapyante Loka Tapena Sadhava Prayasho Janaha. The best welfare activity is raising people to the platform of Krishna consciousness, since the conditioned souls are suffering only for want of Krishna consciousness. The Lord himself also comes to mitigate the suffering of humanity. Yada yada hidarmasha glanir bhavati bharata abhutana bhatarmasha tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. These are both Bhagavad Gita verses. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, At that time I descend myself, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principle of religion. I advent myself millennium after millennium. Chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. Bhagavad Gita. All the Shastras conclude, therefore, that spreading the Krishna consciousness movement is the best welfare activity in the world. Because of the ultimate benefit this bestows upon the people in general. The Lord very quickly recognizes such service performed by a devotee. There's just two more verses without purport, so I'll just read those. And it will try to speak something. Upon hearing of this act, everyone, including Bhavani, the daughter of Maharaj Daksha, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and the people in general, very highly praise this deed performed by Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by the demigods and who bestows benedictions upon the people. Scorpions, cobras, poisonous drugs, and other animals whose bites are poisonous took the opportunity to drink whatever little poison had fallen and scattered from Lord Shiva's hand while he was drinking. Purport. Mosquitoes, jackals, dogs, and other varieties of dunda shuka, or animals whose bites are poisonous, drank the poison of the Samudra Mahantana, the churned ocean, since it was available after it fell from the palm of Lord Shiva. As in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th Canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad-bhagavatam, entitled, Lord Shiva saves the universe by drinking poison. So, Yada Hidarva Shaglanir Bhavati Bharata. So, it means that Lord Krishna is always watching, and whenever the world becomes too irreligious, then he comes himself and to re-establish that religion. So it's like he came 5,000 years ago because the world was getting a very difficult situation. Too many kings, powerful people were abusing the world, basically. And of course, if the king is abusing, then those who are forced to follow the king will also abuse. So he came at that time. So he comes for two reasons. One is to re-establish the religious principles, and one is to give pleasure to his devotees. And Lord Krishna, in fact, doesn't really have to come here at all to, if he wants to destroy somebody. He doesn't have to come. He can either empower someone else to do it, or he can personally do it. It's no endeavor on his part. So he doesn't actually have to come for that purpose. The real reason that he comes is because he has devotees here. Lord Krishna always has devotees in the material world. So Lord Krishna comes because he has devotees, just like he came 5,000 years ago, and he had, of course, especially the 5 Pandavas, Yudhisthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadev, 5. And they were all his pure devotees, and they enjoyed together, especially Arjuna enjoyed with Krishna. This was so that's the main reason really that the Lord comes, because he could definitely no endeavor at all. He could destroy all the demonic people in the world and be gone. but he doesn't do like that. He realizes he is he comes primarily to give pleasure and encouragement like that to his devotees who are here in this world, and his devotees are here. At least the completely pure devotees are here at his request. Otherwise, they have no reason to come here. They're here to assist him in his activities, his pastimes. And then it's Srila Prabhupada's explaining here also that the devotees are, or the characteristics of a devotee is that they will accept different kinds of bodily difficulties or different kinds of difficulties for the sake of preaching Krishna consciousness. So those who are, for example, those who are in ISKCON and who are initiating disciples, and have so many disciples, it's known, it's understood. Spiritual master is going to, if the disciples are not serious, and they're not following regular principles, if they're giving offense, then the spiritual master also gets some of that. And then Srila Prabhupada made it clear that Srila Prabhupada had no karma per se, but he had many disciples, and many were not serious and just went off to do their own thing. And so Srila Prabhupada would say, do you know why I'm sick? I'm sick because I have so many disciples who are not following my instructions. But Srila Prabhupada had maybe 5,000 disciples. And then within 10 years he had initiated so many. But he made it clear that his suffering was because of his disciples who were not acting properly. And then, of course, just in the practice of Krishna consciousness, because that's about Srila Prabhupada, we should understand it, but it's not how do we apply it in our own lives. So here we are practicing Krishna consciousness, and we all have our temple services, or something we would do in the temple, and sometimes we have other activities outside of the temple, like for occupation like that. So we're doing these things, and sometimes situations arise. Usually situations arise, in everyone's life where something's just not perfect. There's some suffering. So, and the idea, at least as far as practicing Krishna consciousness goes, is even when the suffering comes, and it will come because that's the nature of the material body, the nature of the material world. So when that suffering comes, then the test is for the practitioner of Krishna consciousness is, will I tolerate the difficulty and try to overcome it and go on with my devotional service, or will I say, oh, there's a situation and so-and-so yelled at me, or so-and-so, so many things that can come up, and therefore, throw everything away. They say, they use the term, throwing away the baby with the bathwater. Baby with the bathwater. You have a baby, and you give some device you're using for giving the baby a bassinet, they call these things, as they used to. And so say you're watching the baby very nicely. Now the water's dirty, so you think, throw out the water, throw out the baby too. Which would be kind of, well, anyway, that's what not to do. Throw away the dirty water, the contamination, like that. But you keep the baby that you just washed. So the same way, the meaning of that analogy is, if we're practicing Krishna consciousness, and there are difficulties, so we have to sometimes tolerate the difficulties in the path of Krishna consciousness, and we don't want to just, when there's some difficulty, we don't try to solve the difficulty by giving up everything, giving up Krishna consciousness. Okay, I'm having some problem here, I didn't like this devotee here, that one doesn't like me here, and therefore it's difficult for me to be Krishna conscious. The people outside are so much nicer than the devotees, like that. So therefore, I'm going to throw away everything. I'll give up my whole attempt to be Krishna conscious because there's this problem, and I'm going to get away from it. But no, we should. In Krishna consciousness, if we want to advance, and then when difficulties come, and they will, because it's just part of the material existence, difficulties will come. So many problems will come in the course of, if you're Krishna conscious or not Krishna conscious, so many things will come. But when the difficulties come, the solution is not to throw away everything. You just try to tolerate the difficulties, you try to work around it, but you don't give up what's most important, which is to become Krishna conscious. Now, that's the real test, and that's why that's the meaning of this verse that I quote often, in the 10th Canto, Srimad-bhagavatam, Lord Brahma's. Te nukam pam su samikshamano bhunjana evatma kritang vipakam vidhagvapurvir vididam namaste mukti padesa dayapak. And it means, I'll paraphrase, this is describing the proper mentality of a devotee, a successful one who wants to achieve success in Krishna consciousness. And that mentality should be that the devotee understands that I'm suffering, yes, so many things in my life are not perfect. So I'm suffering, yes, but I'll tolerate that suffering. I understand that I'm suffering because of my past activities, or because of my past mentality. And therefore I have to tolerate this, and I have to go on, continue in devotional service, continue in the association of devotees. I should understand that the suffering that I'm getting is arranged by Krishna personally to help me to advance. Krishna doesn't make everything easy for us. In fact, Srila Prabhupada says, in the material world, everything is very difficult. Everything we try to do is difficult. And in the spiritual world, everything is very easy. The spiritual world you don't have to endeavor for anything in the spiritual world. It's just enjoyment. But in the material world, we've got to, if everything was perfect and wonderful and no difficulties at all, we would have no reason to try to become Krishna conscious, because the material world would be perfect. And we just stay here. But actually, so we tolerate the difficulties that will come. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not there. But if we get them, we tolerate them, and we go on with our spiritual practices, and continue on until the end of our material life, or not material life, as long as the material body still exists. We tolerate the difficulties, and you go on. Perfection in devotional service means that you follow the path. It's the definition of pure devotional service. So pure devotional service means, I've done this many times in the last classes. Anyone know what the qualifications? It's 3. Yeah, pure devotional service. This verse describes 3 things that you have to do or not, or that you have to not do. That's another verse. That's not what I'm looking for here. There are 2 things you have to avoid. There's 1 thing you have to do. Avoiding for devotional service to be pure devotional service means that we are, well, first of all, I guess the first thing is what we should be doing, which means to be engaging in devotional service that is pleasing to Krishna. I mean, we're doing something that Krishna wants us to do. I always give the example about you may say that my service today is to just lay out on the beach in the warm sun all day and get a nice tan. That's the service I've decided I'm going to do. So I have a nice brown body to show to Krishna, and however it would be justified, like that. So one may say like that, but is that really what Krishna wants you to do? No, we know Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. We know the kinds of devotional service and the mentality that we should have to please Krishna. So we do what Krishna wants us to do, and then along with that, there are 2 things that 2 mentalities, or 2 endeavors that we need to be avoided, which are, 1 is jnana, karmani. Karmani means we're not endeavoring. We may dedicate our life, our consciousness, that this is the most important thing. Devotional service is the most important thing I could do with my life, and we're convinced of that. We're not worshiping the demigods. We're not thinking how I can go and maybe get some really good karma so I can, in my next lifetime, I can really enjoy more. All that has to be thrown out. And we're also not philosophically speculating and thinking in terms of, I really like to just get some impersonal liberation. Just apparently that's easier said than done, to avoid that. So no endeavor or philosophical justification for the impersonal liberation, no endeavor for increasing material enjoyment in this lifetime or in the future lifetimes, and then engage in devotional service that Krishna wants us to engage in. So this is pure devotional service. So anyway, this is what we should be doing. That's 829. Are there any questions, comments? That's correct. Yeah, yes. But even if you have the best doctor, the best medicine, and everything, and you're sick, still the suffering comes, and hopefully you can get over it. But that's not really the. But we have to take care of our body. In fact, what's that statement? There are there's three things. I think is one of Chanakya Pandit's statements. The three things that have to be dealt with immediately: disease, debt. Yeah, debt, disease, debt, and fire. That's exactly it. Fire, debt, disease. So if there's a fire that's out of control, you gotta get rid of that. Otherwise, it's going to destroy everything. If you have a debt, debts have to be taken care of. And if you're sick, you do what you can do to become healthy. So these things have to be taken care of. But in the process of doing all this, still we have to tolerate certain things. So if we're tolerating, so the point is that if we're not tolerating, then what are we going to do? You just throw everything out because and give up Krishna consciousness. Say, I caught a cold today. I think Krishna doesn't love me. Therefore, I'm giving up this Krishna consciousness business. It'd be kind of radical, but that's an example of what not to do. I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not going to tolerate it. I got caught a cold today. I'm not going to tolerate this. Krishna shouldn't have let me get sick. Therefore, I reject Krishna. That's pretty far out, but that would be an example of not being tolerant. But we need to tolerate so many things, and at the same time go on with our devotional service. And even in the Vedic situation, Vedic culture, when not everyone was engaged in devotional service, you had to tolerate so many things because Vedic culture was very much based on duty and and sometimes you had to do duties. Prabhupada gives an example actually in one verse in Bhagavad Gita, or in the purport. Duty. It says that when in the winter, of course now we have houses and built-in showers and these kind of things, but in India in former times, people didn't have built-in plumbing and things like that. In houses, you take a bath and you had to go to the river. You went down to the river and you got in the water, and in January that water is like almost like ice, but you still have to take a bath. So that example is given. One must tolerate, go and take that cold bath because you have to bathe, and then and then the other example for the summertime, Srila Prabhupada gives in a purport, is a person, a woman. The example is a woman maybe in the kitchen cooking, and it's the middle of the summer and it's very hot, and formerly there was no air conditioners in the kitchens that helps out now. So you tolerate the situation, but you go on and you perform your duty. In that case, it was not necessarily for devotional service, but it was a family duty. So you have to cook for the family. So, but these duties had to be performed, and situations had to be tolerated. And then we also have to be tolerant of. It says we have to be tolerant of the temporary appearance of happiness and distress. So we think the stress we have to be tolerant because you got to be tolerant. But we have to be tolerant of the temporary appearance of happiness, because if we're feeling very happy, and then that happiness is just the nature of the world. That happiness something will happen and it will go away, and we won't be happy. So we have to tolerate that happiness also went. So we have to tolerate these things, go on with our devotional service like that. So I think we have to end for today. Tomorrow, Thursday, we're still in Srimad-bhagavatam, so we'll start chapter 8 tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.